Welcome to All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. You can download our podcast on all platforms every Friday. Clinched is a sports app that helps link clubs with coaches. If you were a coach in rugby, soccer or GAA and you are ready for your next role or your first role, download and sign up to Clinched app for free today.
And Leinster looking to counter here. Seán O'Brien, well, if there's one player who can take a hit from Courtney Laws and stand and see it off and bounce off.
Raised thanks to the accurate free-taking of John Doyle. 2 points between the teams.
You want to play football is hurling, and maybe in that moment you should have slipped maybe hurling to goal. Like, have a conversation and say, I want to make that decision, but it ultimately comes down to them.
Hello and you're welcome back to All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched. I'm your host Podge and I'm joined by the dream team again, Johnny Dial and Seán O'Brien. How are we, men?
All good, Podge, yeah. Happy to be back talking all things sport.
I'll top on there.
Yeah, championship week. Yeah, big week. Take it out once.
Hasn't got out of gear all week.
Sleeping in and everything.
The way your hair's sticking up, I think you are.
I know. You know when you're getting old, you don't really care anymore. Just what's the point?
Good stuff. And Seán, all good with you, yeah?
Yeah, all good, busy away now.
Hips are...
Hip is on the mend, back training, so which is nice feeling. Get back doing a bit of sweating and lifting and yeah.
That's so bad. How would you, what in terms of training, like with the hip, would it be on the bike now, or would you be able to get out running, or what kind of?
No running yet now. So I'm 3 months to 16th of this month. So I'm on the erg bike a lot, concept bike. So I do that early mornings, and then I would do rehab either that evening, or vice versa, rehab in the morning, bike in the evening, and then weights probably twice a week at the minute.
You were obviously always good for rehab because you probably spent half your career. Like,
exactly.
It's fair hard.
Yeah, but you just have to do it. If you want to get it right, you have to do it. Like if you want to go around and do a half-hour's job on it and maybe have a limp in another 5 or 10 years, well then don't do your rehab. But that's why I do say, even for people who aren't sports people, I can't get over how little they do. Like, do they not realise, like, they're told, obviously, that they have to rehab of some extent to get some strength back into it, it could be a knee or it could be a hip, whatever it is, like, but you have to move it, like, you have to get it moving, but they don't do anything. Then they're giving out saying, it's fear stiff, or it's getting swollen on me. No shit, like.
Yeah, you have to look after it.
You have to look after it.
There's no easy way.
It's just hard, I suppose, because it's that you're on your own when you're
it's the battle.
I've
actually liked it though. I've actually enjoyed, since I was back training there the last few weeks, I've actually enjoyed being back on my own and grinding on the bike, like, like having a chat with yourself saying, come on, get it done now. It's nearly like I've nearly had a bit of a new lease of life there since I had my hip done, because I've no pain anymore, and then I'm able to do a bit, and then I'm seeing myself get back in a bit of shape now and
fancy yourself in the Tulla jersey, maybe?
No. I was asked that last week, and there's not a chance of it happening. I don't think anyway.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Johnny Dylan. No. I can't, because if I was actually go back and play rugby to have this right, I'd have to do about 7 months of rehab, like, to get strong enough. Where I just want to have a normal life.
Yeah, you want to be.
Yeah. So
you were back playing, I'd be affected. I'd have to do the treble.
Yeah, we won't go into ages, Podge.
I suppose since we last spoke, there's been a good few management changes within the GAA. As you've seen yesterday, Pádraig Joyce is staying on with Galway. So I actually don't know what the feeling is in Galway. I like Pádraig Joyce. I think he's a proper Galway man, and if they were going to win in All Ireland, I'd love to see him at the helm. But yeah, I'm sure the majority are happy enough to see him back.
Yeah, well, look, I suppose he's well bedded in there now, and I see John Divley has stepped away, and there's probably no harm for someone fresh to come in, and because no different than playing with the club. If a new manager or a new coach comes in, you feel you have to prove yourself again, and it just focuses lads. So but yeah, he's been very close with that Galway team. Alright, this year was probably a little bit disappointing, but probably didn't get his best team on the field when it mattered most in the latter part of the championship. But obviously what's going on in Galway, and the people that put these people in place are happy with the progress Galway are making, and And even though, you know, we've seen it, there's loads of examples, but none more so than Armagh. You know, if someone's doing a good job, and while the results might not paint the same picture, the people that put them in place know they're doing a good job, and you know, they're just maybe a new player that might give them or two that give a kickstart, or someone comes into form or get a clear runner, could be enough to unlock it. Like, they're very, very close. So rather than, you know, throwing the baby out with the bathwater, let's not panic here, and let's
Right, Kane job. Sorry,
you know, let's make sure that we continue to, and can we add to that? Can we? And it looks like Galway. That's what Galway have done, and I say, you know, they're the people that know best. And Pádraig Joyce is, you know, he's captain Galway. He's been an unbelievable servant to Galway football, and you know, obviously I still have scars from '98 as an emotional scars from every Kildare supporter. But you know, if it did come to pass, you know, you wouldn't be sorry to see Pádraig Joyce get his day in the sun again. You know.
Yeah. Certainly not, no. And I suppose, like, even losing to Meath was, you know, disappointing for them. But probably, you know, like, sometimes you have to go to a semi-final or final. It might have been even harder for them to maybe go back to it might have gave them that extra little bit of breathing space to reset the players, go back to the clubs a bit earlier. And maybe there's a real kind of a freshness about it as well again, and kind of fresh start, feels like a bit of a fresh start again for next season. But no, look...
it'll be interesting to see how it goes. You know, who comes in. Obviously, John Dibley will be a very highly regarded coach. So, and then Cian O'Neill was there with them previously as well, who again, a very highly regarded coach as well. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see who fills that role. And but like always, and you know, from the outside looking in, they're in a good place. As I say, a player or two coming back, maybe giving a different dimension to it, could kickstart a lot of things for Galway. And I'm sure they feel that they've unfinished business. And when you've, you know, a group of players, like, obviously you need a good backroom team, good management, but ultimately it comes down to the players. How driven are they from within? You know, are they going to push harder? You know, Seán talked about rehab. Is their lads alright? They're maybe getting through their club championship, but in the back of their mind, selfishly, I've got to be ready for Galway in 26, and that's the driven mentality you need. You know, there is a selfish part of this, and if you've a group of players that are on that mission, it's a very strong place to be in. You know, so I think Galway have a lot of pluses there.
I suppose you mentioned the setting up a new backroom team, and it's probably in GA it's happening more. Like with rugby, with a professional sport, like Leo Cullen's your manager, but Seán, you're up there coaching, but there's probably so many parts, and you're like, we're starting to see it with GA now more and more, where you like it's a lot less on the manager. Obviously he's the one that the hammer falls on, but it's who you have. Like,
he's pulling the strings,
but like, you know, if a lad's maybe applying for to manage it, well, what's your backroom team? And like, we've seen Aaron Kernan go to Meath, Tony McEntee added it down, like, in a lot of talk, and Davy Burke, of course, to Kildare, which we'll talk about in a minute. Like, it's so much now. Like, it comes down to nutritionists. Like, would you have even seen a Seán and Rugby that kind of develop over the years, where it would have been a smaller kind of a management team?
Oh yeah,
where,
definitely.
Like, say with you with Leinster, what's your role then? Would it be kind of concentrating on defensive coach? Like, would you have a specific role to work on with the lads?
My specific role in Leinster would be like the contact skills, so any type of contact. So that's breakdown, tackle, carry. So where's their space? How do we get there? And then when we get there, have we good profile through contact? Have we punch onto the ball? Have we our studs in the ground when we're making tackles? Are we hitting breakdowns nice and early? That's my job. So I'd be chasing the lads around the train a lot, like making sure their habits are really good, more so than anything else. And then but all coaches have an influence on each other as well, because I'd say maybe the Swifty in attack, if we're playing a shape off 9, I might say to him, we need our third guy in a 9 really punching in real tight to a hole, you know, to hold the defender and stuff. He'd say, okay, well, you work on that today, you keep an eye on that today. And Jack could be saying to me, just keep an eye on their foot placement in defence if he's doing a defensive drill, because they're trying to go through systems and shapes and stuff. So I'm trying to more so focus on the little detail the intricate parts of it.
Yes, so someone else could be running the drill, and then you're seeing a lad not doing the job.
So I might just say, Podge, Podge, get your foot close next time.
Yeah.
As it's happening, I don't pull him out to one side or anything. It's always on the.
Would you find yourself watching a game nearly, not watching the whole? Nearly, you're just concentrated, then you're focused.
On the sideline, no. If it's an away game, when I'm actually on the line, I'm kind of looking at the bigger picture, saying, right, what can the coaches not see from where they're, what I'm seeing here? Because it's two different perspectives. So I might we always have a quick chat when we go in at half time, just basically 60 seconds. What are you seeing? What are you seeing? What's Johnny seeing? We all give our opinion. Okay, well, they're the two main things then that have come out of this. Key messages then for the boys are just those two things for now, and keep doing what we're doing, the good stuff like. So that's the way we'd be operating. But when I'm on the touchline actually running the tea or water or giving messages, I'm looking at it completely different. But I'm always conscious in the back of my head about what my job is, what I'm coaching during the week. So the breakdown is a massive part. If the breakdown's good in rugby games, the team will play well. If the breakdown's bad, the team won't play well. So even that one area, if I was to hone in on that, it's so important.
You enjoy coaching?
Yeah. I think in the last 12 months, I'd say I've enjoyed it more. I've kind of grown into the role since I started. Sure, this is the start of the 4th year of actually coaching for me. So I'm still learning loads. And getting the grips with the whole thing. So I'm starting. I enjoyed the last year, halfway through the year, and then I can chip in. Leo allows me chip in if I think there's something that emotionally needs to be said, or someone I need to go after. Someone you work away, say what you feel type thing. So I wasn't really like that the first 2 years because I'm not a senior. I'm a coach, but I'm not a senior coach, or I'm not an attack coach or defense coach or head coach or anything like that. So I'm kind of that's what I said to him at the start of last season. Are you happy for me to actually, if I think there's something that needs to be said or to chirp up and meet? Oh, he said fire away.
And I think that's the key. And I know obviously rugby is different. There's a lot more set plays and stuff than there would be in football. But the key thing, and we're talking about different people coming in and the massive backroom teams. The key for me is knowing your job. So if I'm asked to come in as kip man, that's my job. I'm not going talking, Podge, you should be on the team, or I'm not going saying, he's going well. And it's very, very, obviously the bigger that group become, the harder it is to manage that. And then you've got to manage from a point of view of coaching. What's my role? And again, while you can have the best intentions, the message that's going to players, we have to be so, as a group of coaches, we all have to be on the same page. So if we decide, the three of us decide, well, listen, we're going to play an ultra defensive style, and I'm there, I don't agree with it. Yeah, we can have the conversation, the arguments, the debates, but once we decide we're going,
that's it.
Yeah, we've all to be, and my conversation with the centre back has to be the same as if he goes to you, or you'll always get this look at where am I going, or what do we need to do? And you're in the back of my head is going, okay, what way is this player playing in the game plan we're trying to play? It's not about, and then when he goes to you, he's getting roughly the same message, because
exactly.
Especially at the elite level, especially the inter-county level.
It drives players nuts. Sorry, why are you saying that to me for?
You have to be.
The best players figure out that very quickly.
Absolutely.
Don't they? They smell bullshit, basically. If Johnny's trying to plumose someone over there and he's coming to me and I'm telling him one thing and Johnny's telling him another thing, well, that's not going to cut it.
It's funny when you're talking about jobs. The one thing that irks me is obviously getting into coaching a bit more in the last few years. If the physio comes up and stands beside you and then he's kind of telling you something, and you're I just want you to help someone if they're injured. But then if they start shouting in at lads or something, you're like, no, I just want you to help lads before the game or if they get injured. And it's not
but they get involved in the game.
They could be shouting in something totally, as you say, you might have said, look, we're playing into a bit of a breeze, just keep the ball. And then they could be
I actually had that when I was helping the Cox last year. The physio that was on the touchline, he goes to me, listen, full forward line, blah 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 blah.
Are they injured?
I was like, oh Christ!
But it's and we laugh at you. It is absolutely vital that because you're in an environment there where players are looking for this small little percentage, and the other side of it is, you can, list and know the names. Sometimes all that you're doing is putting another opinion in the top of what, and a lot of time you don't need it, because decision, we know what we're trying to play, and it's up to the players to go out and perform the way we're training for, and for hundreds of different reasons that doesn't happen. And having a load of opinions in on the table can just
sometimes it could be too much. It is.
It's so, like, it is so important to get that right. So there's a lot of discussion, and then you can have the best of intentions, but what does it look like on a Tuesday night in January? And maybe things not go well, a result or two to go. All of a sudden, then it's not as clear, and you have to be so careful when you're judging. You're getting a management team. There has to be huge trust built within that. Everybody knowing exactly what my job is and are there to support anybody else, and getting that I suppose that's the manager's job now. And as well as how the team are performing, managed. Like you look at Kerry, and you'll see after, when Tipperary won the All-Ireland, there's the team get a picture taken, and in the backroom team, and there's nearly more in the backroom team. So all these people,
a lot of moving parts.
Oh, huge amount. It's like it's a professional setup.
It is.
Game.
Yeah, it is.
So
I suppose you mentioned Davy Burke coming to Kildare was probably, I think, caught a lot of people by surprise. There wasn't much mention of it. I suppose Davy was probably interested in the gig himself. I don't know, maybe Flano's probably looking like he 4 or 5 years. They've kind of said back him over time, so maybe it was a case, well, I don't have 4 or 5 years to wait to apply, so I don't know. Anyway, I don't know the ins and outs, but whether Flano contacted him or what way it went, but it certainly looks like a good addition to the Kildare setup, and I'm sure Flano's delighted to have him involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Davy's a lot of experience. He knows, like, you're going to play in Division 2, Davy would know those opposition players inside out. Like, the one thing about Davy is that his planning around opposition is meticulous, and like when it was announced, I was thinking, it's an eye opener. Thinking, that's a different one. I wasn't expecting that, but actually, when like, in fairness to Davy, he's been Wicklow for 2 or 3 years. He's been Roscommon. There's a lot of travel. I'd say Davy's delighted now just to get the players a bag of balls. Listen, you deal with the media, you deal with sponsors, you deal with county boards. If a player is trouble at work, that's your job. I'm back on the field, and I'd say, and obviously, like, Davy's living in Kilcock. It's not a big journey across. I say Davy's delighted to be back involved, and I don't need to deal with all that. Because he's done that for a long time, and obviously gained a lot of experience. But again, like, ultimately, it will come down to the players. It's, don't get me wrong, Davy's is a real good coach. You've Aidan O'Rourke's a real good coach. Damien Hendy's in there, Darrell Flynn and Flan. Like, they're really, really good, and obviously Aidan is Armagh, but the rest are probably as good and as passionate Kildare people about football involved. It's not going to be like, Davy's not going to come in and throw a blueprint on the table and say, lads, do that and we'll win the All-Ireland. It doesn't work that way. We're heading for 100 years since we won All-Ireland. Davy or anyone else, but it's certainly, when I'm sure Flano has chatted him, and say he's very clear on what his role is, and it's a good addition. But ultimately, it will come down to the players producing it on the big day, and that's no different in any county.
Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a lot of that 20s team that Davy worked with. I'm sure it will give them a lift. No more so. You might have worked with kind of younger Leinster players, so when they come into the senior setup.
I disagree with that, to be honest with you.
Getting a kick off.
Well, like, where, like, these 20s, Davy won the All-Ireland in 18. Yeah. Like, when we took the Tailteann Cup final, we didn't have one of those players. So they're, 26, 27?
We
didn't have one start at that game. Yeah. Now, to me, if someone's waiting in the wings, Davy's in now, I'll start going. That's not the way it works. It's, I don't really care who the manager is. I'm going to be the best. Now, don't get me wrong, we still, like, Aaron Mass still involved. Mark Dempsey's still involved. In fairness to Mackie, probably very unlucky not to start that final, playing great football. Tony Archibald's, still around the panel. But
Jimmy coming back into
Jimmy,
the mix
please
as well,
God, gets a clear run. He hasn't had that over the last. So don't get me wrong, we could start the next day. But, like, really, if you want to be an elite and at any level, that comes from within. You're not waiting to see you. Like, you know, if Alex Ferguson comes through the door, I might play a bit. It can't. I
It
don't
doesn't
think
work.
it can.
No, it doesn't work like that. I remember playing that All Ireland schools final. I mentioned before against Ballygawley in Tyrone, and you want to see these lads. Did they school us or what? They schooled every one of us in the football, right? And we were thinking afterwards. Mickey Hart was over him at the time. We were saying to ourselves, "Jesus, there'll be quite a lot of these lads will play for Tyrone in the next few years." You know, these lads were now unbelievable, fit, big, strong. There's only one played. A fella called Paul Marlowe. He was a centre back, but he actually played half back, I think, only 3 or 4 times for Tyrone. And then he actually had a knee or a hip injury, I think, and he was done. But you would have said that day as well. Like, I know that's different, 17 or 18 years of age, but they were just so good. Like, you were thinking to yourself, they're on a different class. Like, surely some of these will make it, like, but they don't.
Yeah, no, it is. You do see, like, talk about that 20s team. Talk about sometimes there's a real good Kildare underage team and you get nothing, and then there's a team that are considered, it's not a great minor team this year.
And you'll have
but you pull forward. You pull forward.
Because they're the lads who actually want to actually kick on and stay ahead.
You know? and you see, the other side of that is now, and it was always there, but there wasn't a platform to air your opinion on it, where there is now on social media and forums and all this sort of thing. Is, you know, like, oh, there must be something wrong. Like, it's not always down to management, or we have to still say, right, just because they didn't win, they made a team in Westmeath that had 30 lads training as hard as we were, and on the day we were beaten, and that happens. Doesn't write off everything was doing was poor. Like, our underage is a pathway. You know, of course you want to win All Ireland minors and 20s, and that, you know, that success you hope brings success. But it's not the be all. Like, we've seen teams in the past, you know, have been very successful at All Ireland underage and haven't kicked on. And then there's other teams like that have won an All Ireland, but it's always down to the individuals within that team. Have the drive, the ambition? You know, okay, county boards can say, well, look, we don't want David Clifford going to Australia. You know, could we do something to make it attractive, or whatever the case? And you have to do a bit of that. But that drive and ambition to want to be the best you can be, all that comes from within.
Comes from the individual. Just, I actually meant to say it to you before, just talking about backroom teams and talking about kind of development squads. Brian Murphy got I was just saying it, development officer or whatever. I work with Brian at minor. He was brilliant with young lads and all, and I know he went for the chairman and didn't get it. And I seen people are saying, oh, he's got in as the what's the title on him? Players Development Officer for clubs and county or something. Do you know much about it or what?
I don't. To be honest with you, I'm not sure, Podge. I saw it the same as you saw it.
Right,
online. I'm not sure what the role is. Look, at Brian has been involved in the past and ran for chairman. Was beaten by one vote. So
it was a one vote.
Like, Brian's a really good lad, and to have him involved, you know, he and people. The one thing about Brian is people like him. So, you know, people buy people, and if he's a job for someone, they ask him. It's very hard to say no to Brian Murphy. He's just such a good lad. So look, it'd be interesting to see where it is. But again, you know, like, it's like everything. You can have a role, but there's so many things interfere with that.
Yeah,
like, you know, you look at our development squads, Podge, and you're like, we're governed by fixtures. We're governed by schools fixtures. There's four different calendars going on around. And like, it's great. It's a position, and I say, I don't know where, and I'm sure there'll be different projects you'll take on, but there has to be buy-in from everyone. You know, to drive the whole. And like, as I said, we're 100 years now. Since nearly 100 years we've won Ireland. We're going to have to do something different. It mightn't suit everyone. It mightn't suit the clubs. It mightn't suit schools, or whatever the case would be. But we have to say, if our burning ambition is to win in All Ireland, we have to make changes somewhere. And our focus has to be on producing. This is number one. You know, and if that's over a 5-year period, and like that, the old saying, you won't make an omelette without cracking eggs, that might interfere with maybe club minor fixtures, or it might interfere with us. But we're driven now, focused on wanting to win an All Ireland over the next, and here's our plan, and we have to stick with it. And the hardest part of that is because there's so many stakeholders between, as I said, clubs and schools, and you're going to upset someone, and you have to accept that. Sorry about that, but it doesn't fit into our
agenda.
Now, county boards are the guardians of the game. They have to mind the schools, they have to bring the clubs, they have to make sure the fixtures. But in the back of our mind now, we want Sam Maguire in Kildare in the next 5 years, if that's their and that's the way.
As you were saying,
that's
stick
the way.
and stick to a plan.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it'll be interesting to see, and look, hopefully it kind of is they're on an upward curve. You'd like to see next year be interesting, and they'll want to be hitting the ground running in a tough division too. Seán, just looking at seeing rugby player in New Zealand last week passed away, and it kind of brought up the whole concussion kind of side of things in rugby. And I was actually just looking into it a bit today. I think there's 1,100 rugby players in the UK that are taking legal action over like concussion and different injuries that would have happened. And obviously now we have the HIA, and I don't know how long that's in, but like it's very sad to see that. I watched a documentary recently with it was the England rugby team, and Johnny Wilkinson was talking lots on it and all, but it was talking to Steve Thompson and I think it was Phil Vickery, where I think it was Thompson that was saying like he can't remember the World Cup, can't remember the games, and then he said some mornings his daughter comes in and says hello to him and he can't remember her name, like, and it's shocking, like. But he said he came back from concussion injury with England and his club needed him to play, and it was like sure, he played, doesn't remember playing the game. Obviously it doesn't happen now, and there's a lot more, but it's certainly putting a highlight, I suppose, on the whole kind of area again.
Yeah, it is, yeah. And it's not good for the game, obviously, with all this stuff being brought back up. And I think a lot of what's been done over the last, I'm going to say, 5 to 6 years has been exceptional, from unions and clubs and doctors and everyone that's a part of that kind of process now. Like the HIA process now, and the advancement in technology in terms of gum shields, and if you get a ping in a game, you're straight off for a head injury assessment. Yeah. Like that's when there's a certain amount of force being driven through your body. So things have moved on, obviously, a lot. There is no, even I would have said myself years ago, and it's probably that'd be on me more so than a doctor, and like that, a doctor would never say to you, "Oh, stay on the field," right? Like. But I remember years ago being definitely sparked against Claremont away one year. It was a massive game for us. There was no way I was coming off, but I probably didn't. At the time, you probably don't realise how serious it is, like getting knocked out or having a concussion. Nowadays, everyone's way more aware of it, obviously. I would say that there's a lot of negativity towards it in the club game. Let's say at the amateur level now, with parents and stuff, they're like and I keep saying this, it's two different games. Like when you're at a professional level and you're at an amateur level, it's when the two professionals are running into each other or they clip each other or there's a head clash, it's completely different than the force of little Johnny running around and he has his headgear on and his gum shield in grand and he gets clipped of some description, but they kind of,
it's not the same force.
It's not the same. It's not the same thing. Obviously, if there is some bad ones happen, and there's a lot of vestibular stuff now that's coming out as well that people have issues with. But there's a lot being done, especially I would say the last 5-6 years, and the protocols that we have in place at the minute, even within Leinster, like, are phenomenal. Like there's no risk taken at all, obviously. And once you fail a HIA 1 is what it's called, so that's your immediate HIA assessment. That's you done. If you have two of them within a 6-week period, you're stood down for a period of time, depending on how bad it is, or if you fail, like you go through your HIA 1, 2 and then 3, and if you fail 2 out of 3 of them, obviously you're definitely stood down, and then your gradual protocol of getting back to rugby, would be part of my job, as well as if someone has a concussion, that I would integrate them back through the contact stages, which will be over probably a 3 to 4 week period. So you build them up with just profile stuff, obviously. Have they any symptoms after, or is there any symptoms while they're on a bike? You know what I mean? They go through loads of stuff during the day, and then that's built up over a number of weeks until they get back into full contact on a pad with no effects whatsoever, and then they're allowed back into an actual rugby environment, which will be full training with us, and then a game. It's not just like, oh,
he's all right,
you've ticked the box, so let him in. let him in. He has to go through a whole process.
With the, say, immediate HIA, what's involved in that? Like, I have in my head that it's like the physio holds up 4 fingers.
No.
My fingers will be held up.
I think you were concussed once so many Podge.
So the start of it when you go in is the doctor will immediately
would
just
this
say
be on the pitch? Like,
no, this is off the pitch.
Yeah,
So-
or do you know what's happened in a game?
No, you don't do a HIA on the field.
Right, okay.
No, the HIA is always off the field. So if there's any suspicion of a concussion or someone has been knocked out or unconscious for even a second, it's a HIA. So you're straight into the change room.
Right.
You're sitting on a bench. You go in and the doctor, he doesn't give you an explanation of it. He'll say, we're going to go through the HIA 1 process now. So he'll just start naming words out. Be a random, like there's be 10. I think there's 10 in it, and you have to get 6 of those right.
Right.
And that's usually where lads fall down straight away. You don't remember stuff that's just happened. Like the first thing he'll ask you is, where are you? What's the score? Who are you playing against? So that's the first thing you come off. Then you go into that words. So he goes words. Then he has numbers, and then you have to recite them to him in the same order. All that kind of stuff.
Right.
So there's
a bit going on there.
I tell you, I haven't done one in so long, but that's what they do. Like,
did you ever fail one?
Yeah, I failed one. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's a process. It's a process that you do, and then so let's say you failed your HIA on the field. So the next day you do another one of those with the doc to see how you are. If you improve on that, great. And then the following day, then you go back through your all your tests that you've done from the start of the year on a laptop, so it's remembering shapes when you're actually fresh.
Yes.
And you go through that again, and then that gives a score of 100, let's say, and you could be, if you're not over 75, well, there's something, something to miss. So there's so many processes now to it, but that's basically what happens. And if they fail any of those, that's it.
Was that there when you start playing? Like
no. That's only in. I'm not going to exactly say when it's in.
Yeah, I know. But like,
I'd only be spoofing. I'd be guessing when it initially came in, but like,
yeah,
there's more and more.
It's a fairly
Everyone's more and
recent
more
thing.
conscious of it. Like definitely
And
in the last 6-7 years.
The onus is on the doc. So Ireland in a World Cup final and Bundy Aki's on show, and the manager says, "Oh, Jesus, we need him on the field," but the doc says, "No, he's
Doc
not
says,
right.
No,
gone.
he's not right. He's gone.
He's
That's
gone.
it.
It's
But
on the doc to pull him."
It's on the doc, but it's also on the player. Like Gary Ringrose was he's the best example of it this year in the lines. Like he pulled himself out of it, so he could have.
It's an edge, because I know when I got it very bad, and again afterwards, the manager said to me, "She wouldn't come off," and I said, "Sure, we're playing Carberry in the chat, like, and I have no recollection of
I was going to ask.
I was sitting. The first thing I could remember was I was sitting with a wrapped in tin foil, and just in the old Newbridge, and one of the players went up to Seán and said, "You better get this lad to hospital. He's talking rubbish down here." I know it, but I didn't come. Apparently, I got the belt in the first half, and they said, "You come off, we'll take you off." And I said, "No." Of course I was going to say no. We're playing a championship, but I have no recollection. So that's a good thing. And like, as I say, all day when I was playing, even you get an old stitch, and the last thing I was ever into my head was to come off the pitch. Yeah. So for someone to say, "Hold on, when we're taking this decision out of your hands," I think is a good thing.
Yeah, and referees as well. They have a big part playing it now.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that as well in all sports now. If the referee has a suspicion, even in rugby, even in junior rugby. So last year, for instance, we had under 18 that was, he didn't get hit in the head. He got hit actually on his kind of SE joint, right under here, kind of on his chest and pec. No, he got hit hard, so he did. But he went down, and the ref thought, because he got hit so hard and he seen a bit of whiplash, he thought he was after getting hit in the neck kind of area. Like, even when I showed it to him afterwards, because I had to show it to him afterwards, because I said to him, just for your report. I said, so we had it on the VMO straight away, so download, bang, onto the phone. I said, just so you know, for your own report, because that player, we had to have a hearing with that player that week, and the referee had to put in a report saying, look, I thought it was a head knock at the time. I asked him to leave the field, and he wasn't allowed back on, which was fair enough. I'm sure we couldn't say anything. I was just like, fair enough, ref. And afterwards, then I just showed him. I said, look at it was the impact. It was a good shot by your man. Kind of hit him shoulder here, kind of on his chest.
Right, it wasn't.
Head flew forward, back on his back, like good impact, big shot basically. But the ref just said, "Oh, I thought."
Yeah, he went with
but he went with his gut. To be fair, like Grandy got it wrong in that case, but that's what they're able to do.
Yeah,
Like, obviously, there's going to be error. There's going
Yeah,
to be
of course.
error
Yeah, but
somewhere.
you're error on the side of caution.
Area on the side of caution. But like there's another case then last year where my own sister, actually, she was after coming back from a concussion, and she actually was concussed the following she played 3 weeks after, which is fine. She went through the return to play protocols, came back, and then got counter-hooked at a ruck, but got a kind of a shoulder in the top of the forward. When she got up, she had a bit of a stumble and went on, but the ref left, leave the field, like physio, leave the field, and that's it, gone. Like, so that's her dust. Like, so in our game now, amateur and professional, obviously there's so much awareness of it. There's so much trying to be done over it. Like the sad cases obviously are like Steve Thompson or the
Phil Vickery or Shane Christie.
or Shane Christie. Like they're proper suffering.
Yeah.
Like there's
you
loads.
mentioned a report coming out about.
There's a report there out today now about the Shane Christie stuff. I just briefly read it this morning. Like it doesn't obviously sound too good, you know.
Right, okay.
So I don't know what New Zealand Rugby will comment on it or do about it, but you know it's sad to see that he's probably like taking his own life because of or suspected taking his own life because of, you know, he thinks he has CTE.
Yeah, CTE.
So you know, those cases, the extreme cases, you know, when someone says I don't remember playing in a World Cup final, like Steve Thompson does, he doesn't remember that World Cup final. You know, it's mad. Like, he doesn't have any recollection of it. So like there is cases like that out there obviously which are frightening, but I would think obviously with rugby it's a contact sport, but there is a lot of people in all sports that are you know suffering from the same.
That's what I was like. I think there's a huge education. Obviously, a professional sport there is, and even I would imagine, you know, so now with the doctors and all that with inter-county teams, but like I played the week after we played a match, but it was grand. In my, you know, there was no protocol there to say, okay, well, did you get?
There's no return to play for you.
None. And I'd say if a lad got a bad belt and he was a bit dazed, took him off, and there was a match 3 days later,
he's going to play in it.
He jumps back. I feel fine.
Feel grand, yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So I'd say there's the GA have a good bit of work to do.
Yeah, and there was a bit of work done. They done. I seen a few studies where they took 113 people and 57% of them had said they reckon they might have been concussed at some stage playing a game, but play it on.
Yeah.
So.
But the nice thing about the GAA is that obviously with the hurling, the boys have helmets, which is great. Because there's a lot of
you'd wonder how more lads
there's a lot of pucking going around that. Yeah. In football, like, is it very physical? Is it?
No, it's probably not. But
it's not as it was
absolutely.
when you were.
Like,
no,
there
wasn't. There was some belting going on. Then I'd say.
Yeah.
That's helping it. Actually, that's helping that side of the game a little bit.
True.
Yeah.
For our side of the game, the tackle height obviously is a massive one. So last year, like for us, we were good in that area. Like that would be an area that Jack had focused on and that I'd be focusing on, like level change into contact, obviously. So there's no chance or there's no 50-50 that you could connect with a shoulder to a head or a glance and blow to a head.
You probably can't anyway because you're getting yellow cards or red cards, aren't you?
But that's a part of the actual safety thing as well.
Yeah.
As a player then, you know, going out, if I get my timing wrong here or if I'm anyway high, I'm susceptible to foul play and I'm gone off the field. So again, when I came in, everyone was like, "Oh Jesus, you know,
you're taking the physicality."
Blah. It's not. It's actually making it safer. So there's another, that's another positive thing that's happening in the game, that we're actually getting lower. Like some people say, "Oh, sure, you go low and then someone's hitting you in a knee." Not if you good technique in your head. Like your eye, if you drop your head towards the ground and close your eyes, then you could get a knee in the head. Or if you have your eyes I say eyes on the prize. Your eyes are where you should be trying to hit. Well, then it's about technique after that. So there's a lot of that to it. But too.
And in saying, like, the game now, even at club level in GA, it's gone so fast. You very seldom see a lad even time in the shoulder right now. You very soon.
Yeah,
It's gone out of the game now because the pace of the game has gone.
Pace, flying.
You know, your S&C is based around obviously staying injury free, but it's also about pace, being able to, you know, being explosive. So, and then obviously the new rules of tap and go. The game is just.
It was even interesting when Brendan Colley said last week that he never issued a yellow card never issued a card in the All-Ireland final, which was you know, another sign of that. You know,
it's the pace of the game. Yeah,
it is. But it stops brawls. Giving away a free and a lad clattering. It didn't stop them down in Wicklow there. They were brawling in the stand with Rathnew. And did you see that one?
I saw that one.
Jesus, heavy. But yeah, it does. It speeds things up and it stops that kind of.
Well, you're not quite, like you say, a lad. It's a rarity to see a good shoulder where a lad would drive the lad in the opposite direction with a fair shoulder.
Or if there is one, it's probably a free.
Yeah. Well, that's well, there's a bit of that too. Yeah,
referees don't see him that often anymore.
No, they don't.
They kind of think, "Oh, this lad's after catching him late here."
Yeah.
No, it's certainly certainly an eye opener.
Rathnew and Carnew, that was
mental stuff.
What was your man? Does anyone know what actually happened? Because what's your man doing?
I think there was a player sent off and he was being jeered and the whole thing kicked off then. But like, you know, big win for Carnew actually in Wicklow on the back of winning the intermediate last year. Like Rathnew were, you know, the
season campaigners.
Yeah, but it's funny because like Rathnew, maybe people talk about, you know, there's an element of kind of the bully teams and they're, you know, and one of the lads just playing with Kilteague and they were beaten on penalties, but he says, I fancy it. He goes, I actually fancy Carnew to beat them, he says, because they won't let Rathnew bully them. But yes, he was kind of right, because it all kicked off. They weren't going to let them. But I think someone was saying then the ref may abandon it. There was 3 minutes to play, and as far as I heard, the ref says, no, abandon it. You know, whatever he says. Well, Carnew were 8 or 9 points up, so he says, no, we'll finish it out.
But he done right.
Yeah, he did.
It's a tricky one.
But like,
especially when the crowd is involved.
Yeah, but you don't like, especially nowadays with cameras. I mean, you can't get involved in that, and no one wants it in the game anyway.
No,
and the only way to do that is come down heavy on players. And come down heavy on if it's supporters.
It is, but like there's kids in the crowd there.
Well, I seen one fella there on the sideline. He actually grabbed his own child, a Rathnew player. He was had a red jersey on, and to be fair to him, he grabbed the child because he was obviously near the fence. Grabbed the child and away with him. He started walking straight away from.
But the other side of it is, like your concrete seats there. Someone falls awkwardly, bang their head. The next thing, you know, the worst, a fatality. Well, that's like if someone or you know, maybe get brain damage. Like it's not a problem till it's a problem. You know, and it's it's so dangerous.
I suppose a quick look ahead to this weekend, the last round of the group stages in Kildare, so they'll start to get to the business end. Some good games. I know Naas play Sarsfields, but Sars, I know they're fairly
both of them are true. So it'll be interesting to see what way. But it's still
they approach it.
I was talking to a lad from Sarsfields this morning. He was saying the same. He said, I don't know, but look at, you know, do we go throw your full hand and, you know, you'd only beat Naas once, you know, so a bit of shadow boxing. But I don't know what the best way. I suppose if you have a lad maybe kind of knockers him, you don't risk him this weekend, but you still, for like in Kildare, it's Naas and the rest are trying to topple them, and if you're a betting man, you wouldn't bet against it, like, to be fair. So
who's over Naas now?
Philly McMahon.
Oh, Philly,
yeah. So it's it's a good one. I would say Sash will go hard to say, listen, let's see where we're at now, and
use it as an opportunity.
Absolutely,
because they've actually too. I was just seeing there the other day, Naas are odds on to win the championship before they even got out of group stages, and Salins are heavy odds on for the intermediate. And they look like they're really moving well in the group stages. Obviously, Alan would take on Kilcock, Johnny. It's a big game for Alan Wood to. I think, is that a winner takes
all?
Third,
you finish third. Your year is done, and you're senior next year. So and look at we're both there in merit. We've like the league. We've gone from Division 1 back to Division 2 this year, and Kilcock have gone from Division 2 back to Division 3. So it hasn't been a good year for either. But they'll see this. Both of us will see it as an opportunity. You know, you wouldn't. I'd say most players said it could go either way, so hopefully we'll finish with one point to spare, and we'll worry about next year. Well, I won't worry about next year, but someone will worry about next year.
Oh, you'll be back next year.
And Manu take on Raheens on Saturday, and that's like a big game. I'd always find with Raheens, like they seem like a real good young coming team, but for ages now all them players are probably of age. Minute looked like they were kind of going to be challengers. I know they've had a few injuries. Neil Flynn was back and he's got injured. they're both playing off to stay in the championship. I was actually disappointed with, I think it was Minute I watched them against Sarsfields. I was really disappointed because I was looking forward to watching that game. Like I seen them in the league against Lancers, and they look good in the league in general, going real well. They just haven't seemed to kick on in the championship and close that gap, I suppose, on the so-called bigger teams.
Yeah, well, look at the ingredients within Minute would be, you'd say, strong. You go down through at go games, and could have 4 under 10 teams, 5 under 11 teams. So you're thinking, okay, some of this has to come through. But like you say, they've come on, but they're not there yet. They're not there yet, and will they get there? It remains to be seen. They've some say Neil Flynn back is a big help. He's a scorer. Kieran Flanagan in the middle of the field is having a good year. Young Paddy Mahoney, although he's small, he's very tricky. They have a couple of dual players, but yeah, I think if they turn it on, they might have too much for Raheens. Raheens have been disappointing. They've got an awful trouncing against Naas.
They've kind of been like that in the group stages. They seem to win their first game, and then they just haven't performed well in winners groups. Now I think they were in a loser group maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but they actually beat Lawrence's 2 or 3 years ago in the first round. I went into the winners group, and they got an awful hiding off a few teams. We ended up getting into the losers group and got a bit of momentum and ended up in a quarter final against Minute. But
they played Cara in the first round, which would be a local rivalry. A lot of them would hurl together and stuff like that. And they sort of scraped through it. They didn't get it all their own way. Cara have like you say, gone into the losers group and they're sitting top of the losers group, so they'll be happy where they're at. But yeah, it's been a disappointing year for Raheens. Obviously, I think 2 or 3 years, maybe it's more now. It's probably 4 or 5 years ago they won a minor A. But again, back to where while there's a lot of players, have they? It's one thing playing. Have they pushed on to the next level?
Drive them on to the next level.
Who's their go-to players? Who's their star forward? Who's going to grab the game with a scruff of the neck? We haven't seen it
they're probably still relying on, not still that he's an older player, Paddy Woodgate, but you'd love to see they've Fionn Cook there and Niall Dolan.
And they lost. There was a few went to America.
They're certainly an interesting team that you're kind of waiting them for the burst on and make that semi-final and push, but
it doesn't.
Now's
the time,
now's the time, and I suppose big weekend in Carlow. We finally have the football championship kicking off. So
Podge is excited. He's fierce excited.
Championship week,
when battling get a hold, see what you meant.
He even came in eating an apple there earlier on. I couldn't believe it.
After eating right championship week.
I'd say the lads everyone's looking forward to it in Carlow. Get going. Such a break.
It's been a long break, and it's so hard because it's such a long summer. Teams are probably hitting slumps at different stages because it just feels like, is it ever going to come around? So it'll come hard and fast now. It'll be week after week, and it'll be good to get going. An interesting weekend and a few good games in the senior championship as well down there. So plenty. We'll chat about it next week, and hopefully coming in here we'll talk about
we'll interview you next week. What went right, what went wrong,
and what day did they ring you to get rid of you? Lads, it's been a pleasure as always. Been a good chat. Thanks for anyone listening in. You can download our podcast wherever you get your podcast. Will be there. This is All About the Game podcast in association with Clinched, episode 22. Thanks for listening.